This episode of Speakers of Eidolon is made possible by our generous patrons. Special thanks to our supreme and master speakers, Omeji Cat Comet, Erisu Yamakawa, Alex Franco AV, Winebow Brood, Psyche, Asuta Starbreeze, Cletus Oreo, Nina Grimstarter, Lily Black, Bob CC, Mikta Rabentau, Anathos Moonscar, Pamela Isley, Elendriel Maximus, Codrith Novelist, Mira Miri, Celesta Notrell, Lazy Boy, A Wild Sarah, Luke Osborne, Pandalu Stormarrow, Tex, Kai Lin, Arthur Law, Beridan Derard, Psypup, Spencer Christmas, Noy Fafnir, Celine DeLune, Webster Wolf, Severa, Circa Barakeel, AJ Brainswordson, Kazran, Ventos Tia, Ryark Forbear, Pizza Pockets, Leighton the House, Tony, Arcadia Lunashine, and Framboise Sakuro. Support the show and become a patron today at patreon.com/SpeakersXIV. Thank you. This is Speakers of Eidolon. Good evening, Aorsians. Welcome to Speakers of Eidolon, episode 372. I'm Lukile Bravestone, and I'm joined today by Georgi Whiston, Mela Vanadar, and Rolodes out of the cave.
I only for a little bit. Yeah. Don't expect me about the cave forever.
No. Savor this moment. He will go back into a cave again soon. Actually, you'll go to London first, and then
I'm gonna visit London caves.
London caves, and then the cave will claim you again.
Yeah, but only temporarily. I'll be back before the end of November.
Right. Well, anyways, welcome to episode 372. It is October 14th. It's the day after Friday the 13th. We all survived. Did you have an unlucky day yesterday? Did anyone have?
I didn't survive.
Anything? You didn't? I'm sorry to hear that. I had a pretty decent Friday the 13th. I think I didn't fall. I didn't break my neck. I didn't.
That's positive.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah.
This is my bad luck thing from Friday the 13th. The evil mercury leaden batteries I got from Russia for my camera.
Yeah.
I got it right, but it's supposed to have this little metal bit on there to make contact. It just fell off for some reason.
Okay.
So I just wasted my money.
It's that very famous high manufacturing quality.
Yes.
Yeah. So luckily I bought multiple because I'd expected that these might not be in good shape.
Right.
Yeah.
Wasted mercury battery. Might as well eat it.
Yeah.
Oh.
My 13th was earlier in the week, but I will not go into that.
Not
watch,
again.
Yesterday's.
Never hearing that story again.
You will not discuss that in such a place that you've kept for posterity.
No.
Yeah, I will not repeat it. Okay, so anyways, today we are having a great discussion. Now, please buckle up because we're going to talk about the state of the game. I don't even want to go. I mean, it's obvious why we're going to talk about it, but rest assured, it'll be fine. Okay?
It'll be fine.
Yeah. Our opinion's the right one. Don't worry about that.
We're the only ones with the right opinion.
We're the arbiters of truth.
That's true. Yeah. That's true. We'll also very quickly talk about the short stories on the Lodestone. The Tales Under the New Moon. The Tales Under the New Moon stories. And we'll be reading MogMail. For real this time, we'll be reading your MogMail. So I will say right now, as of recording this episode, you cannot send us MogMail because there's a problem with our MogMail system. So until that's been fixed, it should probably be fixed by the time you see this on YouTube. But you cannot send us MogMail right now. I'm sorry.
Moogle has lost his post bag.
Yes.
And he's looking for it.
Yes.
Yeah, beat up in Detroit.
And his palm hurts.
Yes.
He has a sensitive palm.
Yeah. MogMail, I will say, MogMail has a really good, there's barely any downtime from MogMail. It's been running pretty well. It's had a few downs, but anyways, we're gonna read MogMail today, so stay tuned for that. In the post-show, questions from the syndicate. We have a
lot.
I asked for more, and I got more. So we have questions. Yeah. We'll also be wrapping up My Immortal, hopefully.
We will see.
I feel like I keep saying it now.
I don't think... Just stop saying it, because I don't think we will.
Well,
especially with the amount of questions we have. And it's you've seen how long the last section is.
Yeah, I know.
Each chapter's like a whole massive page.
Darn it. Okay. Well, anyways, that's that. So, welcome to the show, everyone. We'll start off with a channel update. The FanFest, FanFest, first of all, is next week.
So close now.
Yeah.
It's next Saturday.
Yeah.
We're not even in the right country, and it's next week.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And the Speakers Network stream schedule is now available on our website, speakersxiv.com/fanfest2023, or if you're watching on demand, links in the description. And I think there's a command for it in chat. It might be FanFest, though I dare not. There it is. Yeah. That's where our schedule is right now. So you can go there now and see. We're essentially covering all of it, except for the
things we can't.
But
now, actually, Lukile, maybe we can get Georgi and Roller to just have their phones up and live stream the whole thing.
I think that might be the last time we stream.
What a way to go out.
Yeah. So there you go. Obviously, Georgi and Rolla will be going as well to London.
Yeah, we'll regularly phone them throughout the day while they're trying to enjoy it.
We have not...
And ask them questions.
We have not planned any of that, but...
We're going to conduct street interviews, guys. We're going to go up like,
I feel tell us about your most hated character in Final Fantasy.
I feel like we should at least once try to get a hold of you.
That would be
there,
fun, yeah.
But we'll see how the tech works first.
What if we get a DM from Rollo and it's like, we've cornered Yoshi P, quick, give us a ring.
Yeah. So there you go. We are ready to go. How does it? It must be weird because in a week from now you'll be in London. Georgi and Rollo.
God. Yeah, that is wild. These two bozos in London.
The non-Europeans too.
Yeah, the non-Europeans.
In 3 days we'll be in London.
Oh my God.
Oh, that's true.
I still got to pack. I gotta.
Same.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then
it's a lot to do.
All that travel, and then you leave, and then you realize, oh, I'm in London.
Yeah,
I know.
I traveled all this way for London.
No, I got some cool stuff planned.
Yeah, Rollo's ready, so that's good.
Rollo, who is the most anti-British person we've ever met.
Yeah,
is so excited for London because he realizes it's actually a very interesting place.
Lots of historical
I like
stuff.
history.
Yeah.
I like art. I like all that stuff.
It's got loads of stuff.
Unfortunately, it's English, but you know.
Yeah,
some of it might not be English.
Right, that's true.
I think Rollo would enjoy London more if it wasn't full of Londoners.
Yeah, everyone would enjoy London if it wasn't full of Londoners.
That's true.
It's a great place, just full of the worst people society has to offer.
Yeah, Germans. Just put
that would be nice.
Yeah,
just populate it with Germans.
Nice. Yeah,
let the Germans have London.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, anyways, that's coming up. We're all hyped for that. Expecting. What do we expect to see from the keynote?
Something tangible, new job or something.
Oh, I guess we should make a prediction, right? Because it's going to be the last one.
The last chance. Well, technically, there is Mela and I will be able to do our last minute one before, but
that's true.
You two can do it now. I guess
you can lock in.
I think this is the one we'll get. No,
say it. Say it, bro.
No, I don't think Female Hrothgar's happening until JP.
No one thinks it is. So if you say it is, Ronno, what a hero, eh?
Yeah. It's tough. I think they're going to announce a new system, a new type of content in general.
Okay.
Whether that be expanded Criterion dungeons, it might not be called that, but it'll be like kind of the same system, but like expanded.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe an adventure zone. They'll just flat out say it's happening.
Right.
Or exploratory zone mission, whatever they're called.
Yeah. Right. Like Eureka.
Yes, like
Yeah,
No,
like
like Bosnia.
Like Diadem.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those. We're gonna get one of those.
All right,
sure.
new big major system.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
All right.
What do you want,
Georgi, do you want to...
I'm expecting the first of the two jobs, so we'll probably get the whatever.
All right, lock in which one it is.
Warrior of Light is. The one. What? Oh, the name.
Mm-hmm.
One.
You got to get specific, Georgi, if you want that black and white moment.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, well, I'm not going to privateer.
Okay.
Because no one's saying
You said it too
Everyone's
fast.
saying Corsair.
Slower for the black and white.
Privateer.
There you
Look
go.
into the camera
I'm thinking
seductively
will
and say it.
No.
Privateer.
And I'm expecting them to reveal at least one more zone. Hopefully, 2 of the new zones for the expansion.
Okay. Yeah. That's possible. All right. Well, we'll see in just a week. So there you go. FanFest schedule is up if you want to know what we're covering, which is essentially everything. So you can watch all of FanFest with me and Mela. And then we'll play the Spot, Rollo, and Georgi game as well.
I'm so excited for that. We finally have someone to spot that we know what looks like.
Yeah.
I'll shave my head like bald, and then you can see like the shine of the lights bouncing off my head.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Wax it like a bowling ball.
Yes, please.
I'll get the orbital sander and just get Georgi like bumping my head as bright as possible.
Yes. Okay. Well, there you go. That's what we can look forward to next week. Let's jump into recent events. Well,
not really that recent.
It's not that recent, and
it's actually really old events.
It's there's nothing else. We're gonna talk about Tales Under the New Moon today.
Well, yeah, there's nothing else because we're in the calm before the actual storm that is next week.
Yes.
Why would they reveal anything this week?
Exactly. So
that's true.
It's a perfect time for us to discuss the short stories that were released for the 10th anniversary. They're available on the Lodestone if you haven't read them. We're gonna.
We're not gonna go through them deeply.
No, we're just gonna give like our thoughts on them essentially, just quick.
Yeah.
So there were 4 stories. There's a 5th one coming based on the survey that they published a month ago now. But we're gonna review the 4 ones that are available, obviously. We'll start with the first one, As Your Fades, which is a Estinian /
This was the funniest
flashback.
This was very tragic. One? Yeah, it was a very tragic story about Estinians' descent into alcoholism. I heard it's very funny. It was so real. It was like, I've never touched liquor. And actually, it's kind of nice. And it was full Rollo during the Eureka times, the sangria. Guys, I've on the rum again. And then he gets a bit clean towards the end. It's a great story.
Yeah.
He should go
Goes nowhere, though.
He's better. Jumping while inebriated is always better.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I think it's an okay story.
Nice,
yeah,
it's just about
Jürgen on.
Have we ever heard of any evidence that any of the previous Azure Dragoons had fused with Nidhogg's eyeball in the same way that Estinian did?
I was thinking about that one.
I thought they all just pass it on before it happens. Is my understanding, but this seems to imply that every single time it's passed on, you're doomed.
Well, I don't know if it. No, it might just be that Haldreth didn't realize, and because of that, everyone passed it on before they got fused with the eyeball. He was the warning.
Yeah.
So I think that's fair. It was a nice little story. It was cool, I guess. Got a bit of early Dragoon lore.
And then we got Bringer of Shadow, Bringer of Light, which is the Ranjit Minfilia
finally
story.
Fleshed out.
Interesting,
and actually. I still don't care.
But it's interesting.
Wow.
But I was more interested in everything but Ranjit in the story. So
I wanted more about the Thancred being attacked in the streets of Garlemald was more interesting than.
He wasn't in Garlemald. He was in a province that was 400 miles west or east in one direction of Garlemald.
Yeah, because he's exploring places we can't go right now.
Yes.
Whereas Ranjit's a dead idiot who had no plot.
Yeah.
I wonder if Thancred's map has less clouds on it.
Oh, for sure.
What about the giant? And I need to know what's going on.
Yeah, they got rid of him.
Yeah,
they said you're gonna meet him. They
did.
Yoshi said it.
A liar.
Stop lying to me.
Don't trust a word out of that man's mouth.
Well, it was
nothing he says at FanFest will be true.
No.
Well,
that's my prediction.
What was interesting about this story is that they were trying to give Ranjit a background and like a relationship with Minfilia that still didn't quite add up for what he did at the end. Like they even tried to add some quotes from the game to like try to tie it together to with the story they gave, and it didn't quite work.
They tried to make him more sympathetic, and he was trained as a child, like soldier, and he didn't. They
were almost like siblings. So like they trained together. There was this whole thing, but then at the end,
the original Minfilia,
the original, yes, obviously, yeah. But yeah, whatever. It's okay.
With Ranjit, it makes me feel like he was a larger part of the Shadowbringers story, maybe in like the first couple drafts, because like there's so much work put into like some of his stuff, especially his like model in particular. Yeah, it is so detailed for someone who is ultimately like not that important or super relevant.
True,
I agree.
He might have been like a drop thing.
That's possible. Yeah,
it feels like that. He kind of was just a pop-up villain, essentially.
He felt weird. Like
he was just always there, and he just
a lot about
kicked someone and then ran away. Yeah,
well, like he was someone like not use him. So
he was someone that who projected more importance than he ever had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if you wanted some more backstory on Ranjit, they have tried to cobble something together. I mean, it's a good story, but I don't know if I buy it. But it's canon. Next is In Storm's Wake, which is I
think this was my favorite one.
Oh, which one was this again?
This was Graha going. Graha. He had a summon to see Hien, and he was super nervous, and then he went there, and they had like. I like the ones where people just meet up and eat. Like, the one where they're in the Bismarck, it's Alizé, and and I like those stories. Because they're kind of real things that just happen in the world. So they feel more immersive to me. Yeah. I liked this one quite a bit.
Yeah. He's got an audience with Hien, essentially, and they're talking about... And Corvos, that's the biggest part.
Yeah.
Is that...
Because Hien was going to meet with a bunch of former leaders of former Garlean provinces, including Corvos.
Yes.
And she was originally asked Thancred, because Thancred has been to Corvos or Locus Aminus, but Thancred said that Graha would probably know more.
Yeah. So we got a little bit of backstory, I guess, for Corvos. Some of it we already knew, but it was interesting.
It's still shrouded in some level of mystery.
Yeah.
But it feels more and more like we're going to visit at some point reasonably soon.
Yeah.
We didn't know that it was essentially like originally a farmland made by like Mikote slaves from the Allegan Empire.
Right.
We didn't know that.
Right. No, that's true. Yeah.
That's true.
So that's that is In Storm's Wake. Good story. Good for lore, if you want lore about Corvos specifically. But also about Hien. Then last we have A Legacy of Hope, which is the Levelia.
This one was good too.
Story.
Grandpa.
Yeah.
This was the picnic. The Louis Suave picnic.
Yeah. It's Alphino going to
Labyrinthos for the first time.
Yeah.
Before it was public.
Yes.
They got privilege.
Just turned on the wind machines when they arrived.
And they've realized how realistic it was. Yeah. I liked seeing Moonbreed hair. I liked seeing Rambro's hair. The person who I found most unusual to be here is Dickon.
Yeah, Dickon kind of felt a little odd, but whatever.
How did he sneak into the super top secret Labyrinthos underground?
He's the chef. Everyone loves the chef.
He's a great chef.
Yeah.
I think he was invited. I think the story outright says that Emiliance told him to asks him to come.
Emiliance has all the power in this world.
Yeah. That's a very
I
very
love looking at the pictures in this one, because you just see Louis Swan and his fucking 1.0, his sabatons, his little puffy top,
hell yeah,
which is like such an old 14 like design idea. Surrounded by like modern 14 outfits.
But in the picture you see Galuf as well with his back turned, and he's also wearing that same puffy outfit as Louis Swan is.
Like it makes them look like a weirdo. Like, do boomers just dress like that?
It's just boomer
fashion. Seeing Louis Swan next to like Urianger and Moonbreeder in really modern outfits that they'd never wear again until around Shadowbringers.
Very strange.
Yeah,
can't get over his fucking casual metal sabaton. He wears two.
I'm surprised they didn't give him a different.
It's an impromptu picnic.
Yeah, but why didn't they give him like a Charlian outfit when it's in Charlian, so they could like excuse his outfit for like being like expeditionary outfit? For
I think it's fused to his skin in the model. At this point.
See, because I don't think
they don't have a choice.
I don't think we wouldn't recognize him. He's a very he has a unique face.
I mean, have we ever seen him in anything else? Maybe he doesn't have a model underneath that.
That's true, and they just didn't want to make a new one for
it's
just
a criticism of everyone here. Everyone, bar Urianger and Moonbreeder, are in whatever they normally wear anyway.
That's true. That's
also the FF8 reference with Angelo.
Yes, Angelo, and he's what
Corgi.
Corgi. He's a
Corgi.
Little sausage there.
Fortunately, is in his old gear though, like his adventuring one, not the usual. Fancy whatever.
Well, yes, yeah.
Well, that is true, actually. Yeah. But Urianger is completely out there in this, like the Shire gear that he would.
Really
would never. Would never wear.
Go put on the fucking tarp.
Put on the tarp.
We also learned that Labyrinthos is geographically designed after Corvus, so that's true. What we would potentially see if we visited Corvus.
2 Corvus things. Do you think they're saying that so we now have a headcanon of what Corvus looks like, so we'll never have to go there, or are they setting us up for a visiting at some point soon?
I sincerely hope it's a visit. It's set up for a visit.
I hope so.
Too.
We'll see.
We'll see. So that's all the stories for now. There will be a 5th one, but don't know when that's.
Could be about any character you selected. You know, it could be Y'shtola probably, or it could be that stupid Astrid girl, or it could indeed be Logistics Node B. So
if it's Astrid, I'm gonna actually like.
Oh, if it's Astrid,
Astrid sweep, let's go, Astrid gang.
If it's Astrid, I'm joining the enemy side of the great discussion.
Okay.
Did you vote in the survey?
Yeah.
Who did you pick?
I think I picked not a particularly out there choice, but I think I picked Edmond.
I don't think I did the survey.
That's a good choice.
I don't think I did the survey.
No, I didn't do it. I was too busy at the time.
Just double check.
Okay.
Yeah.
I picked Hitler Deus.
Oh God.
Sorry,
I just heard the first part of it. Yeah, good choice.
Okay.
That'd be interesting to get some more old school lore about it.
Especially now that we know that Biagot worked for Hitler Deus, there's more God stuff for them to work with for a story.
That would be nice. It'd be good now that the 12 has been outed. It'd be cool to get some stories about what they did at the time, I guess.
Okay, well there you go. That is the Tales Under the Moon story. Decent, and now we have to wait for the last one to complete it. All right, that's it. It's time to move on to MogMail. So let's just do that. Here we go. Oh boy, this is from what? I'm sorry. Hold on.
Just giving up.
Tyrael Udestand. From Ultros.
You stand.
I think I did some. I'm sorry if I butchered your name.
Tyrael,
Hello, speakers.
like the angel.
Tyrael. Oh, Tyrael. I mean, okay, that's true. Hello, speakers. I hope you're doing well. I've been very slowly playing through Endwalker on my alt, and I happened to come across something that has got me thinking. In the discussion about Dynamis, Hermes mentions that the Elpis blooms were a natural phenomenon as opposed to an ancient creation. That sent me spiraling, because you can draw a direct line that goes from the discovery of Elpis blooms to Hermes creating Meteon, which leads to the advent of the final days, which leads to the creation of Hydaelyn and Zodiark, and so on and so forth. So what about the Elpis flowers? Were they really a natural occurrence, or is there more to them than meets the eye?
I mean, I like to think that they're a natural occurrence. I would like to think that we didn't live on a blank canvas of a planet before the first ancients sprung forth to give birth to sharks and dogs and mosquitoes.
Can you imagine?
That's kind of my main issue with
first
the ancient creation magic.
Yeah.
It has to be stuff beforehand. I mean, it seems like there was, and they just utilized it in their magics.
Yeah. We know that life can exist without ancient intervention. There's whole other planets out there that exist without people with creation magics.
That's true. Yeah.
They were just given to that.
This is
it would be cool if there was like a super mega progenitor, like mega alien thing that planted the Elpis flowers, and now we're going to get the old gods. But they're probably just cool flowers that exist.
Hey, maybe it was Ultima's race.
Oh,
maybe.
This is a question for all the horticulture people out there, all professional botanists. What would be the evolutionary advantage of being able to react to Dynamis? Like, it's just like a genuine question. What, like,
if someone meant you harm, if you could tell, if you could feel that they wanted to pick you, you could look more threatening.
Or
the
less,
flower.
Or less, enticing.
Or less desirable. Yeah,
Yeah.
you could look ugly suddenly, and they're like, "Oh, I don't want to
Look
pick you."
withered.
Is it?
It depends on what also they need to sustain life. Like, if they can sustain enough Dynamis, it allows them to exist in environments that aren't necessarily friendly towards other plant life.
Yeah, and in real life, most flowers use UV patterns to attract insects for pollination, but these would be able to potentially just change how they look and get every pollinator to come and suckle on their sweet, sweet nectar.
True.
I don't know if it changes their form. I think it only changes their color.
Yeah, it's just
UV is a color.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
So
emotions are a color. Fact.
Yeah.
Right.
If you have bad vibes, these plants will know.
That's true.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm feeling very, very green right now.
Yeah.
I do think that they are just a natural occurrence.
Yeah.
It's okay to say that in this fantasy context. I think it's just a funny question to be like, why would they do this though?
Yeah.
Yeah, because imagine.
I think
Yeah, go on.
I think they have to be natural because Dynamis is such an unexplored phenomena, and it's unique that Hermes was exploring them. So I feel as if, like, I don't think any ancient would have created them.
Yeah, no. True. Also,
That's true.
God, imagine if the world was, they had to make everything. Like being born as an ancient into
Oh,
the
so
first
boring.
ancient, be like, oh, for fuck's sakes. I have to like make everything. Oh, grass.
There's no
Did they have to make the
bees.
other ancients?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the ancients must have come into being at some point.
What
Who
did
made
they
them?
evolve
No,
from?
they I
Eggs.
think what's her face? Mrs. Hydaelyn lady. She
Vanar?
Yeah, she found the. I mean, she just found the theory of evolution and saying that she
Basically,
came
yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
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 from, I think it was
She
a
is
short story,
Darwin.
right?
Yes,
That
I
was a
think
short
it was.
story.
Yes, it was. It was last season's short story. I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
So she said that they evolved like any other creature, I guess. So
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Tyrael, for your MogMail. Next MogMail. Let's just go in. This is from Gizmo Gear Changer from Famfrit.
Gizmo?
Hello again, speakers. I have a bunch of questions that I'm going to send as a few different Mog letters, so feel free to spread these out. One of my favorite things to do recently has been revisit older episodes of the show. And in one particular episode, you have mentioned issues you were having and having to scrap an entire storyline within Roar, Soar, and Core, along with mentions of Dark Lukile. I'm curious what the story and the behind the scenes of it was, if you wouldn't mind sharing. Love the show. Keep up the great work, speakers. Signed, Gimo.
Change your name. That's suspicious.
They did.
Yeah, maybe that's the nickname.
Who are you, Gimo Gizmo?
That's all you, Lukile. Go ahead.
God.
Tell them of Dark Lukile.
Well, it's a long time ago. So there was, back in the old days, in the early days of this channel, there was an idea that there was going to be a storyline that was going through every single retrospective story that would culminate in like, I don't even, you know what? It's so long ago. I'm starting to forget what the purpose was. The shows were going to like meet at some point, specifically Soar and Roar. They were going to have elements that would start appearing more and more frequently until you would start to see the pattern, and then they would like meet. And then there would be a new story out of that. I think the name for that show was just called like it never got a real title. It was called like Soar Stories or something. I think was the working title.
I think we originally thought to call it Tales of a Realm.
Well, that was later. That was when we like started to like
that was later.
Try to pick it back up again. But so I placed a few characters that were supposed to be important in that storyline throughout the episode, and there would be weird things on screen at random points that you wouldn't really notice. But then the point was that once you started to notice, and after a big reveal episode, you could go back and try to like see them, like and get like a replayability. It would be fun, I thought. But that was not the case. When one Halloween, I decided to make a Halloween episode of Remnants of a Realm.
The fated Halloween one. The best episode that no one wanted.
And it was like a haunted episode, so everything, like the panels were broken, and like my voice would change, and there would be weird things. I would say weird things and weird things on camera, on screen. And everyone, well, I say everyone, but a very loud, be it majority or minority, really hated this episode.
Law, please.
The dislike ratio was like, you couldn't. It was back when you could see the bar. You couldn't see the see the likes on the bar. So I panicked. I pulled the episode and I sat up all night re-editing the entire episode without all of the references. I didn't sleep. I couldn't sleep. Just did the whole thing, re-uploaded it as a normal video, and it's specifically the Ifrit. It has Ifrit on the thumbnail. It's called like Ifrit Bleeds. It's something Ifrit related, I think. If you watch that episode, you'll notice that there's one thing I couldn't do because it literally took hours to render, and that was the music. The music player is still in the Halloween skin. That's the only remnant that's left in that episode. So there's like a bit of remnant lore in Remnant. Yeah.
That was too much of an overreaction. I think you were too harsh on yourself.
Well, I was new to the scene. I was trying to curry favor, and I felt like it was over. I thought we're cancelled. It's over. And then one of the characters.
People didn't get cancelled back then.
No, it wasn't called cancelled. It just meant you blew it.
You fell out.
You can be a little cringe as a treat, like there's nothing wrong with that.
Well, that I already was at the time. Remember, I also had that, the Skrillex joke from the Fallen Rise.
Oh, that was great.
Was still fresh in my mind. I'm like, I did it again. So, you can still see them in the old Remnants of Realm episodes. You can see this specifically one character that the community dubbed Dark Lukile, but that was never his name. But that is what we have just picked up. That's the Discord bot is called Dark Lukile.
Don't you have the original still unlisted, or did you just like entirely pull
it? Is, and I think if you're a patron, if you go to Patreon and search I don't know, lost episode or maybe Halloween episode, or it is on there. I think I released it for them, but it's still there. So
Wow.
for them, but yeah, it is unlisted. You can't see them anymore.
Dark Lukile's true name is in the current music weight screen.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. Yes, that's true. He is. I mean, he's just become like a part of the channel now, but he has no function anymore. He's just an entity.
But you can still see all of the background characters in the early ones.
Yes, you can. You can see a character that no one knows anything about, Dunstan. Like you can see in like a lot of Roar episodes. He's everywhere in the Roar episodes.
Dunstan's not the coolest one.
Well, Dunstan is the coolest one because we have.
No, Dunstan. Yeah, but those
relevant.
Yeah.
I don't know if we ever said the name of the best one, the rogue again.
Oh, Blowfist?
No.
That's a real character.
Siri woman.
Oh, well, that was. Yeah, well, he's based on Siri Woman, but he isn't Siri Woman.
He's not actually
he's Blowfist.
Based on that was the best timeline.
Yeah, we're not going to go down that road.
No, that's
again.
a whole different story.
Yeah. No, thank you, Cafe, to that request.
The best picture you can ever see of Dunstan, which you'll never see, is Dunstan after the 5-year time gap.
Oh yeah.
That's an internal. That's a joke for us. Yeah, but
that was funny though. God, that was during the worst time when we thought doing an audiobook would be a good idea.
Did.
God, that was shit.
We did. So we.
Nothing's better. No, what's a good audiobook to Lukile? Is it the microphone quality completely flickering between all different levels every 5 minutes? It was shit.
I think.
Listen,
I turned out okay.
Welcome to a speaker's audiobook. Hey guys, it's me.
I think you have a very. I think you have a warped memory of what that sounded like, man. It was actually pretty well made, if I may say so.
I can't remember.
It sounded. Audibly, I think it was perfectly.
It was funny because Rollo played a guard. Remember that, Rollo?
Yes. Okay. The thing about that is that, like, when I went in, I expected like it's gonna be mean Lukile at best, just like okay, like Kill's gonna be like, okay, read the line like this, and I'll be like, okay, it come out, I'll give a take, and they're like, okay, try it like this, okay, I'll give it a take. No, it was all of us at the same time.
That was the problem,
and I could not keep a. It made me nervous. And then 2, it was hard to keep a straight face because these fucking guys were like giggling all the time. I was like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
It was the process wasn't good. We should have done it one-on-one, I think.
That's the worst way to record it. Like, I can't keep it up, man.
It's your line too,
but for we just
if all voice recording was done in purely table read form. Well, that's what we did.
We essentially did a table read and then used the recording of that as the basis of our the audiobook. That's essentially what we did.
It was a good time. I liked it because there was a level of group kind of planning, and it was a real project we had on the go.
Oh yeah, it was big when we were we were going to revive it
today.
We did. I did so much like prep for that. Like I was ready to record it. I did test shoots. I had figured out a way to do like a super wide shot so I could hide like all the stuff that I needed to like use to manipulate the camera and stuff on the sides of the screen, and then only capture the 1080 feed. It was a whole thing because there was going to be machinima as well too. Like
you can still see some of the aren't they still? Don't you have some of the sets laying around on your characters?
Well, the only one left now is in my apartment. My apartment is the office.
That was a big secret for a while too.
Yeah.
I'll go to Lukile's apartment.
But in my what used to be in my private chambers in the FC house was the set for the camp tent in.
Oh yeah, that one had the tent.
Yeah, that's gone now. But yeah, that was the whole thing as well.
It was a good time.
Yeah.
Let's try again, but this time better, and also not record like we did last time.
I think Tales of a Realm. So there's a series for patrons called Return to Soar. I've gone through all of it there. So if you're interested in that, you can go through that. You get the whole rundown. I read through all of our docs from
wow.
that. So, yeah.
Nice.
Did you show them the picture?
I didn't show them the picture, but I did describe it.
That's you should show them
the picture. Is the funniest, it's actually. Maybe
the description alone. The description alone does not like. No, it's the image itself. The image truly brings it together.
On top of our character sheets, there was a picture of what they looked like before the calamity and after, and the after picture for Dunstan is very funny. If you know, you know. If you know, you know. Okay. Anyways, enough of that. I think we have done enough. Let's move on to God. Making me laugh just thinking about it. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Gizmo.
Or Gimo.
Do you think we'll have time for that plus the one that I want to do?
Yes, I think we do.
Okay.
I think we do.
Yeah.
Let's do another one. Here we go. This is from Trinity Rain from Halicarnassus. Halicarnassus. Which data center is that? Is that
some kind of?
Is that
out there one?
Or is that Australia? No. It's not.
No.
Okay.
Australia is all Heavenswood primals.
Oh, that's the new one.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, okay.
I see. Thank you. This is yes. So Trinity Rain. Hello. During episode 367, you talked about the gap or lack in content between 6.55 and 7.0. I am pretty sure Yoshi P hinted at bringing back old events. Do you think the devs will fill the void with activities like Yokai 15 crossover and or brand new 16 crossover? I have friends who started playing during Shadowbringers and Endwalker and have become grand collectors and are butthurt over not having Yokai minions and weapons, and of course, the regalia mount. I can see the Yokai and 15 events being used as buffers, but will those be enough? Is there any old events they haven't put on the Mog Station, never to return to the game, that they can dust off and use as content?
Not again! I worked so hard for my Yokai minion.
Yeah.
You can't keep doing this. You can't keep bringing back Yokai events.
There's new weapons this time, Mela.
I don't care about the new weapons. Someone suffered for this.
Get the sperm mount.
Don't bring back Yokai until you're willing to bring back the feast mount rewards into somewhere to get them. Bring them back. I'm
surprised they still are yet to do that.
I know. They're just. I'm sure they said they would. Also, they said you'd be able to get old series rewards in the future, but they're all exclusive. Like, they just go back on their word all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't think the 15 crossover and Yokai Watch would be suitable as a bridging the gap thing, because the majority of people who might fall off during that time probably have already done them.
Well, they're going to add more to the Yokai Watch if that comes back.
You can add the new weapons, which is cool, but it won't take most people that long. 16 as a crossover would be good.
There's the old classics Breaking Brick Mountain, which is the...
No, you can't have that anymore, can you? Because...
Can you buy the boot? Yeah, you can.
Yeah, if you can buy it on the Mog Station, it'll never come back.
I don't think you can buy the boot hat, right?
Okay.
I don't.
Maybe they'll bring that back then.
No, I don't. Yeah, I don't think the slime is available still. I think
the 211 crossovers.
No, I
again Rhapsody and Vanity.
No, stop bringing back Rhapsodies. Bring back Shantoto's Revenge.
Yeah, that would be good.
The third part, it's like a connected story, so you'd have to.
Well, they can do. Well, that's perfect though. Well, they can do like a chained event. That'll fill time.
Yeah.
For who? For everyone who hasn't done it.
Imagine how many people have not played the Shantoto's Revenge one though.
That's true.
The Shantoto's Revenge one is
bringing them back.
Yeah.
The issue is that Wind Up Shantoto is on the Mog Station. The Irahara gear is not, which is why they can do the Rhapsodies of Vanadil one, but they can't. They cannot do the which is a shame, because I like the Shantoto event because it even has a fate tied to it.
It's better than the Rhapsodies one for sure.
It is better than the Rhapsodies one. The Rhapsodies one is good, but it's much better for you if you have played 11.
Yes.
The Shantoto one I think works better as a standalone event.
Yeah,
exactly.
Well, run the event without the
minion. As a black mage.
The problem with Shantoto's Revenge is that if you don't have the reward, the end doesn't make that much sense. They actually reference the minion that you get at the end. So I don't know if that would work. Maybe make a new one. Sometimes they just add like another thing to it, like genuine Shantoto, wind up Shantoto or whatever. But
I mean, it's just a minion. Who cares?
Yeah.
Just put it in there.
Yeah.
Well, collectors says the MogMail says.
Yeah, that'll be. Yeah.
Who cares about exclusivity? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't care about
I mean, they didn't give a flying fuck about the Manderville earrings.
Yeah.
No.
I don't Yeah, but you couldn't buy that.
That's true.
The fact is
that's on you for wasting your money.
Yeah, but people will feel upset if they felt bought the.
You couldn't buy the Manderville earrings, but they were planning for you to do that the next year. Probably, they probably would have been put up on the Mog Station the following year. So there is.
I'm pretty sure they are on the Mog Station.
They are now, but they've been renamed, obviously.
Right.
Yes, that's right. They're not the true things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nothing's going to make me happier than the day the Legacy tattoo is on the Mog Station.
Oh, God, it'd be so funny. I would wear it.
It would be so funny.
I mean,
Move
it's so ugly.
South Korea, Mela.
So if you want to pay $5 to make your character look that horrible, please be my guest.
Yeah.
It's in a really inconvenient place.
Oh, it's
you never
stupid.
actually get to see it. Like it's just gonna stick up every now and then.
There are some gear pieces that it's designed with. Like, yeah.
But
slutty ones.
Majority no.
Yeah. That is true. I mean, but that's the case with a lot of tattoos.
That's true.
I can definitely see them bringing the 15 event back because the Regalia is still not on the Mog Station. Remarkably.
True.
God, can you imagine how much that would cost?
Well, also, I mean, 16, by the way, did we mention that? I mean, there's been a lot of 16 hints.
I just, I'm fully happy for new players to experience all these old events, but there are a lot of people who have been playing for a while, and I think if you only bring back old events, it wouldn't be very acceptable to a lot of people.
Right.
Yeah, because
So
when
a
the
new
new ones
one
come
too.
around,
Cool.
like I don't do them. Why would I do them
Right,
again? You know?
of course.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad it's there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd love to do a 16 event. They've talked about it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So why not?
Get Joshua's little dumb outfit. It's your reward.
Leave Joshua alone.
Okay. Like baby. Okay. I see. His
Yeah.
little.
When he's
or
actually a
whatever.
baby.
Yeah, his little. He looks like a little elf.
Yeah.
There'll almost certainly be a Toggle puppy minion.
A Toggle puppy minion, and maybe. See, an Ambrosia mount wouldn't really be that good, but whatever.
No, and I also don't think Toggle works as a mount.
No, a bit weird.
Because Toggle isn't used as a mount.
True.
I could see them making like an Ifrit mount or a Phoenix mount.
Yeah, they're cool.
Well, we already have a Phoenix mount. Do you not think that would be weird?
No, but it's not the Phoenix.
We'll have like.
I really hope that the event is a Garuda fight.
Lukile, we already have 3 Phoenix mounts in this game.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
What's another?
An Ifrit mount.
That might be why they're willing to give it to us.
Yeah.
Ifrit would be cool.
Yeah. Okay, well there you go. We'll see what they do to pat. Well, there's already
That's a grave error.
Fall Guys. Fall Guys is
Fall Guys is going to be.
Fall Guys is coming.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. By the way, that event crossover is so funny. Happening right after that company is fucking obliterated.
Oh,
by
yeah.
Epic.
Yeah.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah.
Like, ooh, yeah, promoting this game for this
Thanks,
company
Epic.
that barely exists. Yeah.
How long will it be up for?
acquisitions.
They will probably just have a team just making new skins to rotate in their shop, and then nothing will change.
Yeah.
Oh well, it's a good game though. Shame.
Yeah, that's sad.
Maybe they should have got an Epic exclusive deal and disappeared from Steam.
Maybe. Okay. That's that. We're gonna do one more MogMail, and then we'll call it a day here. We're not gonna call it a day. We're gonna do a great discussion.
Yeah, we're ending it.
Yeah. All right, here we go.
Well, this MogMail will lead into this discussion.
Oh, did this even have audio? Okay, whatever. This is from Kai Lin.
Very serious.
From Mateus. Hi, speakers. I think Endwalker might be the point at which 14 stopped feeling like a live game. I'd like to know what you think about this. Endwalker came out 2 years ago. It feels to me like Square Enix created a content roadmap at that time and then went on autopilot. There's always been a formula that they are following around what kind of content they create, how they design new fights, what kind of rewards they offer. But if something about the formula didn't work, they would adjust it in a subsequent patch. The diadem didn't work, they tried again. Eureka Pagos didn't work, they added logos actions. If a job was in a bad place, they would go so far as to completely rework it. With Endwalker, they have made PvP adjustments as needed, and that's good. Beyond that, the reward structure for Criterion dungeons made them pointless. Subsequent Criterion dungeons didn't change this. If content dies within a couple of weeks, see Eureka Orthos, Square Enix seems content to just leave it for dead. There is no content associated with the relic this time, and people have been unhappy about that since the first relic step. Someone asked Yoshi P about that in an interview, and his response was, "We're not changing anything. Every subsequent relic step has been the same as the first." After the second ultimate, Yoshi P posted something on the Lodestone about how unhappy he was that raiders would use third-party tools. Otherwise, there's little in Lodestone posts or live letters to indicate that Square Enix is paying attention to the community at all. In the past 3 years, the community has become more decentralized, distributed as we are across a multitude of Discord servers instead of a central place like Reddit or the official forums. But the game, the Lodestone, and the live letters are still the core of the community, and Endwalker is when these resources have begun to feel like funnels to the Mog Station. Perhaps I'm overly cynical. I've never enjoyed Savage or Ultimate, but I love everything else in 14, and Endwalker is the first time I've ever been this unhappy with the game. Please share with me your own perspectives on this topic. Well, with
video games,
I think maybe we should just go straight into the great discussion. I think this should just be the opener for the great discussion. All right, let's do that.
We'll give you our advice in there.
Buckle up, everyone.
Advice?
Yeah, I don't know. Doesn't that ask for advice? Oh, no, that's for opinion. Never mind.
It's time for the great discussion. Well. Here we are.
We got the Doomer Wojak now. Oh nice. My god!
I love a Wojak.
We're at a point where there's a lot of
even that Loperet.
There's a lot of talk about 14,
Loperet.
and it's okay, so you all know what we're talking about. So in the community now, there's a lot of talk about the decline of Final Fantasy XIV. Mm-hmm. It's hard to start it without okay.
Well, how about this?
Yeah.
Hey, why don't we go one by one and say what you think the state of 14 is? Because I think we all come from very different places. And we might agree on some stuff, but we might have different opinions on a lot of other things too. So, Lukile, why don't you tell us? What do you think the state of the game is like right now?
Well, it's hard to just... You're asking a question that requires a very long answer. We have bullet points that we need to get through, Rollo.
Yeah, okay.
We'll do this, but we'll do it. I can't just say is good because
no, you're supposed listen. We're trying to get the fucking clicks. Say it's bad.
Short answer is good. Long answer, please watch the rest of the
video. So we're at the end of an expansion, and as someone, I mean, we can all say that we've been around for a while. So
at least the Realm Reborn, we've all been here. So.
Yeah, for a lot of people, what's going on right now seems like a little scary if you're relatively new to this community. I can assure you right off the bat, this is very normal. This is a very normal reaction. I think just for the first time, there's a lot more content being made about it, I think is what we're seeing now. There's a lot of 14 is dying, videos and posts and tweets, and
it's so Jover.
Yeah, and it drives clicks, in some cases.
I mean, sometimes rents do, man. You gotta
you gotta
make the video.
Yeah. I think part of what we're seeing is that some of the videos. So I've tried to watch some of the videos that have been made on this. Some of them are legitimate, like they have concerns that are, it's fair, but those are concerns that you have just during the whole lifetime of a game, right? It's not because, oh, the game is dying, here is why. It's more like the game has problems. This is what I want to change. But it just happened. The timing right now is like a little questionable, I guess. But whatever. I think it's better if we just talk about what happened at the end of the other, like the previous expansions in 14's life. Let's talk about the end of A Realm Reborn, for instance, which is probably one of the better, more stable times in 14, but there was a lot of doomsaying already back then. Even the devs were worried that 14 was going to like fucking keel over.
I mean, that might have been the last expansion for all they know.
Yes.
That's how it was treated.
That's what they were planning for.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you were listening to podcasts at the time, the few that existed back then, some of them were not very... They were pretty doomy at the idea of an expansion. There's a drought at the end of every expansion in 14. There's always a drought because of how they do patches. And at the end of A Realm Reborn, we'd been very spoiled in A Realm Reborn. It was a lot of...
You had a ninja in a patch.
Yeah.
That is insane. And boy, you can feel the effects of that, by the way.
Yes.
Ninja was in a bad place for a while, and they were like, we're never doing this again.
Yeah. And so there was a lot of like, okay, is this at the end of the game? And then Heavensward comes out, and I was like, oh my god, best game ever. And then we're on that high again. And then there's a lull. And then it always happens in the lull. Like, oh, it's dying. And then a new expansion comes. And it's like, oh my god, this game is great. And then the end comes. The end of Heavensward to Shadowbringers as well. Horrible time. That's the one that I remember the most. Well, no, actually, what I remember the most is the end of Stormblood.
Really? I thought that was one of the better ones. In terms of,
we've talked about how this...
community sentiment.
Oh, no. Was it... I don't know if you remember if it was the end of the expansion or if it was between the two last patches.
It was between 3.3 and 3.4, actually. If I remember correctly. Sorry, 4.3 and 4.4.
Oh, okay.
We said this before. Almost shut the channel down because I thought this game is falling apart.
That's before we joined.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I thought the game's falling apart.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no...
And then I came to the channel and I revitalized the whole experience for you.
Yeah, it was... so it was bad. And I think everyone gets that feeling at least once in the game's life where you feel like, okay, well, it's over now. And then it just surprises you because the new expansion comes and you're back on the back in, what is it we even call it? Back on the grind?
Treadmill.
Treadmill. Shadowbringers, yeah, end of Shadowbringers, like I mentioned. And then, now we have to remember, this is where we deviate from the usual behavioral pattern in 14. As Shadowbringers came to a close, near the end, mid to end of Shadowbringers, there was suddenly
where the usual dip in mood would happen.
Yeah, there was a sudden surge from WoW. Like World of Warcraft was, they tanked. And all of a sudden, 14 had a huge increase of players coming in from World of Warcraft, which we'll have a look at it in a second. But it greatly inflated the player numbers with lots of new people, lots of new content creators, lots of new people on Reddit, people on Twitter who loved the game. It was like watching A Realm Reborn, like the A Realm Reborn relaunch for me. Like people that were now discovering 14 and being like, oh my god, how did I not see this before? This WoW wave has skewed a lot of people are now experiencing the drought for the first time, right? So that's number one. So a lot of the people that you're seeing making posts or tweets or videos, you'll probably notice that they might mention that they came from WoW. That might be what's happening now. They might be realizing that, oh, this game has flaws as well, just like World of Warcraft.
Shadowbringers was that perfect storm too of like WoW doing poorly, the pandemic too. Again, lots of people staying inside and want to play video games, and then just kind of community bubble exploding as well. Never going to happen again in this game, I think. Not to those heights.
Right.
That was an unnatural event. So, but
yeah. So what we're seeing now. So I've also always said this. Like once you have an MMO that's still active, it is very hard to jump ship completely.
Very.
And because it's the sunken cost fallacy or whatever. When the buzz stops, when you're like back to reality, you're like, maybe I do want to go back to WoW. And then they're like, because 14 actually 14's kind of dying, isn't it? It's kind of shit. And then you start with that, so you start to like justify. That sort of happens too. I see it a lot in the videos that I've watched and the posts that I've read. So that's one. 2. Some of this are legit concerns, and we will get to that as well. There's 14 is not. I mean, if you watch Speakers of Eidolon, we are no white knights of this game. So there's gonna be. We're gonna look at both sides here, but
I mean, our review of the patch was just last week, and we definitely had plenty of criticisms.
Yes,
things to compliment as well.
Yeah,
honestly, I feel like sometimes we're like super harsh on this game, but then I see other people's stuff. I'm like, you guys,
are I know,
delusional.
Yeah,
I would say, like I thought we were bad.
Yeah, because it seems like people are now like it started off with like valid stuff, and then it has just spiraled now. Like people are crazy about like how bad 14 is, which chill. It's not that serious. So remember that Shadowbringers is not normal. That was an abnormal jump because the stars aligned essentially for 14. So let's go into let's get into everything. So why is this happening? Why are people, or who are the people that are upset? So there's two groups. There's the WoW people, WoW refugees that are now like realizing that this game is flawed, essentially. But also there are people that are just fatigued, which happens.
That's the main one, I think.
Yes.
The thing with the WoW players is they've obviously been playing WoW since Classic, whatever. And then WoW went through an unusual dip. WoW's tough. WoW's truly a peaks and troughs game.
Yeah. Like
Cataclysm wasn't great for the game, but Mists of Pandaria had some really great dungeon content, great PvE. Then Warlords of Draenor came out, which was shit.
Yeah.
Then Legion came out, which was really good. It's this cycle of constantly going up and down, which must burn people out. Like Dragonflight, most people who are fans of the game would agree it's a pretty decent expansion. And I think a lot of them will have gone back to that and they've found they've enjoyed Dragonflight. The ones who have stuck around here, you know, I think that most of the people who stuck to 14 are really enjoying it still because they've got so much to catch up on. The main people who are currently not enjoying it are the people who have completed the things they enjoy in the game. Let's say I love the storyline. Well, I've caught up on it and I've done all the side quests, so there's nothing for me to do now.
Yes.
Or I really like, casual dungeon content. But I've capped my tomestones and I've got gear for like 3 alt jobs. So that's not, I'm not much more for me to do. I don't want to do the hard content. There's nothing for me to do. So the thing is, 14 has a very wide breadth of content to do, but not all of it's going to appeal to you.
Right.
And that's an issue that is with you and with the game as to what you're willing to do. My retirement plan in 14 is to take up fishing. So I'm not doing much fishing because I know I'll enjoy it later on when I've really, the things I'm focusing on is capping my jobs.
I find it very boring, but the reward is
Really?
worth it to me.
I think that's the most exciting part of is doing the job stuff. So
the job stuff. Some of the stuff around the job stuff, playing the jobs, learning their rotations, I find fun. Doing the job quests, I find mostly fun. But getting from 1 to 50 or 30 to 50, I find a struggle. Because after 50, you just do roulettes.
Mm-hmm.
But before 50, you have to do. I'm doing crystalline conflict level, and you just have to do squadrons and stuff. It's more miserable low level.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. I will also say I said WoW players. I mean, I'm obviously some WoW players are still playing the game. I'm not saying that they're leaving. I'm saying that
this game's not for everyone.
The big wave that came in, we're kind of blinded. There was Asmongold was like touting you from the rooftops. 14 is great. Come play it.
He really enjoyed it, but he was pushed away a little bit, and also just fell off.
Yeah, well, we don't have to talk about why he left.
No.
But yes, was.
Most people who play WoW aren't going to come here and enjoy the 500-hour RPG storyline.
Right, exactly.
It's a tough. It's not everyone's cup of tea to just play through a JRPG mega storyline.
Yeah,
most people who play MMOs want to do raiding and dungeons and gear and farm and standard stuff.
I want to talk about what Mela said a bit ago with WoW in terms of its ups and downs, and just comparing it to how Square Enix deals with balance or even just changes. I think 14 or I'll say with Blizzard, when it comes to balancing and changes or trying out new stuff, they're very reactive and very quick about it. And you will see that in all of their games. If you look at Overwatch 1 heroes and how quickly they change and how they can literally go from dominating comp to being dog shit within a couple weeks. It is frequent. Same thing with jobs or classes in WoW. You will see, was it Warlocks were on top in Burning Crusade or something? Mm-hmm. And they got hit with a fucking Nerf stick so bad that one guy ended up making Bitcoin. He was so pissed off.
Oh my god.
So something like that. They're hammering shit out constantly. Mm-hmm. But with Square Enix, it's a much, much slower pace. At change. I think the fastest pace of changes we've gotten would be the Diadem. That was 2 changes in the same expansion, and eventually a third change was a couple expansions later.
Yeah.
But even from job balance, you might see potency changes in the middle of an expansion, but they save any bigger changes for the next expansion. And even then, it might take another expansion for them to get it really where they really want it.
Mm-hmm.
I think there are pros and cons for both ways of doing it, sort of. But I think people are kind of seeing how Square Enix deals with it now. With Criterion Dungeons, for example, right? I think they know it's a good concept, right? I think they know they have something good here, but they're just kind of testing the waters, right?
Right.
For maybe more mid-core 4-player hard content, right? Mm-hmm. The same way they did with Rathalos Extreme or the Great Hunt or whatever. Testing the waters there. Maybe with the next expansion or maybe even expansion after that, actually dedicate to making that a part of regular updates.
Yeah.
And the like. They don't want to make anything important, or tiny important rewards to it now because they are still ooh, we're not sure. So I think that's what we're seeing a lot right now.
Yeah.
And they have, we know that they've already talked about the reward structure for Criterion, at the very least Criterion, if not Variant Dungeons, will shift with the next patch.
They have said that. So we'll have to wait and see what that means. Mm-hmm. But yeah, there is some change. Mm-hmm. They are listening to that, it seems. But
you do raise a good point though. If a class was broken, mm-hmm. in most games you would expect a hot fix to come out, a quick patch to get the balancing correct. In this, it might be broken for 3 months.
and then they'll change they'll change a few numbers in a patch.
Well, they will
say we understand it's broken, but we'll do a full rework in a year's time. And it's like that's not always a good approach. Like for some, some things can be left, but the pace of content is a toughie.
We'll get to this in a second. I just wanted to finish this player thing because there is one thing that has made the rounds, which has stoked the fires of this discussion, and that is the Lucky Bancho graph that was released that shows the active player count. So we'll look at it now, and it looks alarming, right? When you look at it now, this is.
Should explain what the colors mean.
Yeah, we'll go through them. So the blue, that's new accounts. So that is they have earned their first achievement. That makes them blue. Red means that they have earned an achievement in the previous quarter. So they're considered they're considered active. So those are active accounts. And green is terminated, which means they have not achieved any new achievements past in the next quarter. So they're essentially inactive accounts. So when you look at just that, when you look at the color and you consider red the active players, the green one is that's the scary one, right? Because the graph itself. Now, I'll try to explain this. I'm pointing as if I can on screen, but if you look at the middle to the end of Shadowbringers, that's where that WoW wave hit, right? So we get this really huge influx of players, and then as Endwalker is released, it starts to drop, and that's the argument a lot of people are pulling as look at it, it's dropping, but look at the trend of all the other expansions. There is always a drop before.
The freak one.
So, people should know this is, and Chad is bringing it up. This isn't fully up to date. This is as of the second quarter of this year. There has been another one released since then. However, I don't think we have the graphical information.
It's in tabular, which is not as easy to read.
Yeah, there is. So we have proof that the numbers are going back up again. But the one thing that is actually worrying is that green color, because that means people are not logging in, which is
they're not earning. You have to understand it's an achievement based.
Yes.
So,
but you get an achievement for completing the MSQ, and that is
that's true. So they may, they've not done MSQ. They've maybe not done the seasonal event. So they may have dropped off in some aspects, but. That green section probably has people who still play the game but just haven't earned an achievement in that quarter.
Right. But you can probably ignore the last column. I don't know if there's an achievement for them to earn, but the fact that it is actually growing is the problem.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's
You're starting to see it. Graph. You start to see it around Stormblood, and this is part of their if you're bored, play another game thing. People are doing that, and it is now starting to results. We're getting the results of that now. But if you actually ignore the color and just look at the graph is essentially on par with the player base. I mean, it's higher than Stormblood. It's higher than all of Stormblood. So it's still good numbers. It's actually around the level of launch of Shadowbringers. So,
it's surprisingly this game is still popular.
And we've had an increase again now. There will be more increases now as FanFest is starting up again. There'll be another influx of players, and then of course when Dawn Trail comes out, there'll be a lot more. So the numbers don't support the Final Fantasy XIV is dying. I think we're just seeing the decrease from the wave of WoW players that came.
I also think the increase in the lack of achievements in that quarter might be a result. This is speculation. Might be the circumstances of there being an increased patch cycle and a result of there not being a patch within that particular quarter.
Yeah, that's why I say ignore. I think you can ignore the last one, but it's still worrying on the other.
It is worrying overall because even the one before,
increasing.
as you said, is higher. Yes.
So again, numbers don't support the claim, but there is some worrying statistics still with like inactive accounts. That is still seemingly becoming an increasing problem in the game. Also, another thing that I just wanted to bring up, because there's this weird sentiment from some players that 14 is quote unquote dying because casuals are destroying the game. RPers are destroying the game, which is the most absurd thing I've heard, because RP is the backbone of all MMORPGs. It's in the fucking genre name, RPG. Spare me.
No. Role players or casuals are
the majority.
They're the majority, and they're the people who keep most MMOs afloat. The reason, if this game was dying, the blame would fall on the developers rather than the player base. And the role players are the really good people because they're the ones who find something fun to do with nothing to do. They're just talking. They're just standing around talking, and that's good for them.
Yeah,
they organize lots of like community events and all that stuff.
Yeah,
they invite people who don't RP.
They embrace the old school MMO spirit.
Yes.
So I don't see how.
Once those people start going, that's when you know.
That's when you know. Yeah,
exactly.
Like, if I logged on and I didn't get advertised for a nightclub, I'd be like, this game's fucking.
It's over.
It's over.
Make that video.
Our peers are some of the more welcoming types of players in this game.
Yeah,
welcoming and incredibly, lenient with what the game offers.
I will make this quick note too. If you say the phrase toxic casuals, shut up. Just shut up.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah.
What the fuck does that mean?
No. Yeah.
What? That's not a real. You're just making up a guy to be angry about.
Yeah.
Stop.
Yeah.
I will not take your criticism
people
if you say that.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, like. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird, and it's like they're trying to target someone just to get their frustration out. But yeah, it's not the casuals. It's not the RPers. People have been RPing in MMOs since they started. That's it. That's what it is. You can maybe make the argument that casuals is more of a new thing for MMOs, which we're trying to adapt to. That's true. You had to be very hardcore to play old MMOs back in the day.
That is true.
But it is not.
That's a sign of the times.
It is not 2001 anymore. It's a different world we live in now.
Yeah. MMOs are far less prevalent than they used to be. And they do now have to compete with games as a service systems, which is often like you can enjoy a game as a service. I know it's difficult, but like you can enjoy them without paying for something, whereas an MMO has to convince you to continuously pay a monthly, quarterly, or however often fee.
Yes,
I mean, it's an old man genre, just straight up. Like,
it is an old man genre.
This is totally anecdotal, but I feel like everyone I know who plays 14 is like late 20s, 30s.
That seems to be.
It's a retirement home for video gamers.
But that's what 14 is trying. It's trying to pull new blood in, and it's difficult because it upsets the old people. It upsets.
That's true.
The boomers will be boomers, and I use boomers as just a catch-all for old people like us, old sour men,
old
specifically.
Gamers.
If you're past 25, it's fucking over.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, you're old.
Christmas cakes.
And I think, so there's a battle there that's going on. It's difficult to balance, the new with the old. They still have to give us old type stuff, but they also
14 is generally a more casual friendly MMO, but you know that going in.
Yeah.
And if you've done all the content that suits your MMO niche, then there are other options out there. I know the go play other games thing is not the best spiel you can do as a game developer.
Always mystified me that.
I will say, I'll say this as someone who's played a lot of MMOs. For people who 14 is their only MMO they've played, I highly encourage you to play other MMOs. I think having a breadth of knowledge on MMOs makes you appreciate what 14 does well and makes you understand what 14 could do better. And I think that's an important piece of knowledge to have about, if you enjoy MMOs as a genre, it's good to have that knowledge.
That's
the experience.
True, but you playing, I don't know. I've when you say play other MMOs, try other MMOs. I think
I don't even play them for years. I just mean, jump in and enjoy them.
Yeah.
Pop a month on WoW and experience it. Try the ESO, Guild Wars 2. Try them out and see what they do differently.
Melee is specifically.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, Georgi and then Rollo.
Sorry. Melee is specifically talking to people that enjoy MMOs as a genre. That's not everyone that plays 14.
No,
so he's not.
That's true.
It's not a request he's making to everyone.
True. Yeah, Rollo.
No, I'm just saying. I grew up playing MMOs, not like the same MMOs most people play. I played a lot of like Korean MMOs growing up. Maple Story.
Age of Wushu.
That's a Chinese one, I think, actually.
Lineage 2.
I play Lineage 2 every day, man. But it's playing different games like in the genre, it does give you perspective and it lets you criticize it better.
I agree.
I'm not saying that you have to be able to criticize 14, but if you see what else is out there, like you're able to better articulate yourself. At the least.
You can see what's possible.
Yes.
Like there's two examples. 14 has Aetherytes you can teleport to at a whim.
Yeah.
Whereas, let's say WoW, especially old WoW, has flight paths that you attune to when you get there, but you have to go through the path when you're flying in real time. So it's a longer journey to get to where you want to go to.
Wait, until you've attuned though. Right?
So you go to a new place and you've right-clicked the Flight Master, and now you've got this point unlocked on your map, and you can fly between the points.
Oh, okay. But there's
like a taxi service.
Right, I see. So it's like
Chocobo Porters.
Chocobo Porters.
Yeah, which is honestly, I was going to say that sounds great. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
It's like Chocobo Porters. So that makes the world feel big because there's travel time.
Yeah.
But when you're traveling from the north to the south for the 500th time, you might not enjoy that as much as you did.
That's fair.
Whereas
imagine
14
if
is
you had
quick travel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Imagine if you had to travel in real time from Labyrinthos to Ultima Thule.
You see?
Right.
Yeah.
Insane.
Yeah.
Some things like that would have a portal in WoW now. But, from in one island, you would travel. And that's a different, openness to the world. And having that, you can understand why that's appealing to some people.
Well,
and
I should say that
fast travel now.
14 does force you to walk until you've attuned to a crystal.
Time.
Yeah, and that's good.
It also forces you to
opinion.
attune to wind currents to fly.
Yeah.
So it still has
these are good old school-ish things to make the world feel large the first time round.
Hated by a large amount of the player base. I will say that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is in the future, you will just be able to fly from default potentially because that's the way the wind blows.
That's actually an interesting thing because they haven't budged on that. They've.
Well, I appreciate.
They have made them easier to find during MSQ, so you're always near one when you do the main scenario, but it's still there.
But they have some tied to the side quests which unlock after, which is clever.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The don't want to go to your new expansion zone and immediately ignore it all by flying away. You've put so much effort in.
Yeah. Makes me sad.
Yeah. So that's true. So let's talk about the actual issues then, because we are already on we're on the track here. So One of the big ones that I've seen is that 14's, and this is something I partially agree with, is that 14's battles are starting to become samey. Like,
This
even on
This is
Savage
very
level,
true.
they are essentially the same fights. They're using like a formula that they just reuse every time. Like, you'll go into Savage, and you'll just immediately start identifying what the fights are, and you already know how they work.
Yeah,
You already know. Like, with
They always start with a raid wide.
raid wide
Yeah.
first, and then
a possible explanation, not a defense for this, is that they have explicitly said that both raid series, this expansion, and I think they've said this with Dungeons ever since Heavenswood, maybe, is that Dungeons have always been like the newer team, newer developers, so that they can get their feet wet in terms of fight design and like location design. I think what they've said this expansion as well is that this has been a turning point from some of the older devs passing on the opportunity to some of the younger devs to make new battle content in the 24-man and 8-man raids, which as a result might be why content, in particular this expansion, has been a little bit more formulaic, in the sense that they're trying to find what they can and can't do, and then maybe next expansion it will get a bit more adventurous, but that might explain, at least for this expansion, why it is the way it is.
Yeah, that's
and
possible.
and we have been getting some interestingly shaped arenas this expansion, which I know is like such a small thing, but for the longest time we were only getting circles and squares.
That's true.
So the fact that like we have arenas like P7 or P9, or sorry, P10 or the Octomammoth, these are all like exciting and new things that we get to experience. At least they're experimenting a little bit, even if not necessarily as much as some people want.
Yeah, that's true.
The arena shapes is an interesting point, because in all content, like Rolga's arena, very interesting, and it makes use of it in the fight. Beauregot's arena shifting, like actually moving them, good.
That was good.
Hippocampus was cool.
Yeah.
There's been a few interesting ones here and there. They've definitely done a shift there, but the procedure of events is at a point where sometimes it still interests me. I really, really like Hippocampus Savage. Sometimes it feels like it's just very similar each time you go in.
Yeah. And even if you see like something that looks like a new thing, you'll be like, oh, but it's that, but we do this instead. You know? It's
like Hippocampus had limit cut.
Yes.
And now we've got limit cut with
Didn't Pepsi Man start it? I think
Pepsi Man started limit cut, I think. Yeah,
so
that's
it's
why
been
it was
there
so
since
notorious.
Heavenswood.
It was so hard.
Yeah.
But there's so many recreations of old moves. Akmorn has been around forever now. Dive bombs is a unique one that hasn't really had much.
Like
clock positions. Oh yeah. Shiva circles.
Yeah.
Earth shakers.
Go on, Rollo.
They need to bring back some of that classic Gordius design. One person has to get in the mech walker for the entire fight. It's weird, but you can make it work if you dedicate yourself.
I agree, Rollo. There's more. That's stuff that you can see in other MMOs where they're more like there's more dynamic stuff going on. Like you have to run to another platform. You have to do. You have to mount something. You have to do something. Like there's like a puzzle or whatever. And right now, it's always arena. Start with raid wide. Introduce either clock positions, limit. Now you start slowly. You do like attack tank. Give tank busters, either shared or split. Then do your gimmick, clock positions or limit cut. AOE. Maybe a tank buster following that. And then
raid wide,
do another gimmick, limit cut, clock positions, and then just rinse and repeat. Put on
combine mechanics now.
Combine them now. Now you have to do limit cut and clock positions because now there's meteors.
Yeah,
that's That's the stuff that
Here's
happens.
an idea. I'm going to give you Square Enix. This one's for free, right?
Mhm.
A raid fight where at some point, just as a part of the fight, you go into the Air Force One mode and you have to fly around shooting the boss. That would be cool.
Riots,
Yeah.
blood in the
It would
streets.
be neat.
But I agree with Rollo. They would never allow that in a Savage fight.
No.
Because remember the complaints that people had about the
24
phase
man then, or
transitions for
something.
Bianco
Yeah,
and
yeah.
There can't be any
and
downtime.
Suzaku.
There
This
can't
is
be
the
downtime.
trouble.
No.
People, that's the
Well,
dichotomy of wanting fun things versus just wanting to fight and do
If it's
savage.
something that they can't do things that are like fun once and
Right.
then not again.
That
It
is
has to
true.
be
in something that
repeatable.
has to be farmed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there are
That's
other
where you get into
MMOs
a
that
difficult
do this correctly. Like maybe have the boss move, like you go from one arena to the other, make something else. I'm kind of tired of the fight just being a fuck all like circle in the middle of just floating in nothing, and there's like no world around. Like there's nothing. What if the boss was like in an actual place, and then the face transition is that the boss just like fucking runs off, and you have like kind of like Gilgamesh in
I was thinking of that.
yeah, but better than that, obviously. And then you run into a new room and fight them in there. Stuff like that can freshen shit up a little bit instead of just
but you
being.
see, I think that
You can still damage it while it moves. He doesn't have to move really fast.
I agree. I mean, sort of what's it called? Ghost Train or Phantom Train is kind of like that,
Right.
sort of. And then Shinryu is as well. I think they suffer from the fact that the arenas are always going to be the same, like even if they are in different places.
Yeah, that's true. But at least it'll feel, you can make the area in between look different. You know, I don't know. It's
They sometimes experiment, and in my opinion, it works, and then they often play it safe.
back in.
I think that's a big thing with the game right now is playing it safe.
That's my biggest
That's
gripe.
always been a 14 thing.
From A Realm
Yeah.
Reborn, though, the arenas, they put effort into making sure that it looked like you were in the place that you were
Mhm.
fighting them.
Yeah.
Now it's just like, we'll just do some
Floating
void
square.
shit in the background and some sparklies, and now you're fighting.
Which ones from A Realm Reborn are you specifically thinking?
Coil.
Well, there's Coil. There's Alexander. There's, which is inside Alex.
I agree. Alexander, I think, is a good
That was
example.
good.
Yeah.
Really, Omega was when the 8-man.
Yeah, that's when it really started going off the handle.
I think the thing.
Yeah, look
I
at
miss
Trials
about
too. Same thing.
I think the thing I kind of miss about like older, weirder mechanics is that it was a nice way to get to introduce people to like the raid or something or or whatever, but they're doing an easier position where like it's not relying on DPS. Like the mech walker thing, you could easily put like your weaker static member on that if you just know they're not like they're still learning it or whatever, or they're just not particularly great at the job. But they, you still want to include them because you're a friend or something like that.
Yeah.
Or if you remember in when it first came out in Labyrinth of the Ancient for Behemoth, you would have one of the tanks, mostly just on the tower, that just like deactivated the tower.
Yeah.
Because-
4 of the tanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry, there was more tanks back then.
Yeah.
Where they would just be on the towers and their job wasn't DPS.
Right.
Or even mitigation, really.
Mhm.
Just literally press the button so the rest of us don't die.
Yeah.
And I remember that was a distinct memory for me even too, when I was getting into the game and like they put me on that position because like I didn't know what I was doing.
Right.
You know
Yeah.
what I remember as a healer having to press those tower buttons because the other tanks didn't know what the fuck they were doing.
Yeah, I did that so many
Yeah,
times too.
Yeah. They should be doing it. You don't have to do it now though.
No.
But that's something I feel like was lost, was just like giving. Well, that's not the entire raid.
non-DPS like mechanics. Things where you have to split off and do something.
Yeah.
You can absolutely balance fights around that too. Like that's not.
Yeah, just lower the DPS requirement overall. It's not hard.
Yeah.
Like even some of the Alex fights, like the one where you get broken up into the 4 compartments and have to do a little mechanic on your own. That's really neat.
Yeah.
That is cool. I agree with you on that. I wish there were more opportunities to do that. I would like them to be combat based, or at least in some ways like movement based still. They don't necessarily need to create entirely new mechanics in the set. They don't have to shift genres in the style of Air Force One.
Yeah.
There are definitely
Oh,
things
wouldn't
that
that be
you can
cool
do.
though?
Right.
Yeah. That would be cool, but I don't think I would like to do it over and over again.
Our healer has to complete the leap of faith challenge. For us to beat the fight. Get your best jumper on the raid.
What if
over?
What if the mechanic to shift arenas from like phase 1 to phase 2 was a quick jumping puzzle? That would be so good.
People would fucking lose their mind, I swear.
Yeah,
people would hate it.
They would be so good.
Yeah.
I think it's a thing too
I mean, there you go, Rollo.
I think it's the thing too that runs because right now, fights are about DPS. Like it just matters how quickly you can do DPS while resolving the mechanics, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is that do you remember back in Shadowbringers when they're like, well, we want healers to heal more, and that was like an explicit thing they were like bouncing around, where like it doesn't make any sense because healers should just DPS. Because that's what wins the fight. The best mitigation is just killing it faster.
Yeah.
And then as you're like gearing up and getting better, you're also healing less. Which I think another point of mine is that I think healers are in a bad state personally.
I agree.
Where they're not as engaging as they were before, because like I said, you gear up more, you heal more, but there's no point to heal more because you kill faster already.
Yeah.
I think healers are in a bad state in content that is not extreme or of a higher difficulty. Because I think in those, at least to a certain extent, our tools are necessary. Whereas in dungeons or anything of that level, there's not enough outgoing damage for us to keep us constantly healing. And even in Savage and things like that, we're not even constantly healing. Obviously, there's still plenty of time for us to be just DPSing.
In some
Your
fights,
tools are necessary.
In some fights, the only time they're like, okay, time to heal is when they do the AoE thing, where the raid wipe, and that's it.
But the point still stands that you go in at min-eye level and it's a hard fight, but when you've geared up, it's easier now, so you've got less time. You don't need to heal as much. And that's a problem. Like, I know people hate it. I wouldn't advocate for it to return, but the level of ability required to stance between cleric and out of it to do your DPS and then get back to healing was a skill, and the best healers were very good at that.
I agree, but I think that was very ping dependent, and it was more punishing on people.
That is true. That's the issue of it.
People like me, who lived in Australia, who had to deal with a much higher ping level than those closer to, and Europeans playing on their American data center.
In the European lands of Canada. Well, I mean, stance dancing. I never understood why cleric stance had a cooldown initially. Like, why would they?
Well, that was an issue.
Why? It should have just been a toggle. But
to punish you should know when.
Yeah, exactly. Also, you have to figure out when to do it with a 5-second delay, thanks to our super servers in Canada.
They should have worked it more like how Black Mage plays.
Oh, and you thought you pressed the button? No, you didn't press the button. Your heal's going to do 267 HP of health.
Yeah.
The balance thing is weird because, like, as a tank, right? You gear up, what do? You mitigate better, you do more damage. As a DPS, what do?
You do more damage and take less damage.
Yeah. As a healer, what do? You can do more damage and you can heal better, but people need to be healed less.
Yeah.
So it's like, what's the...
Yeah, I mean, if anything, to make your life more interesting, you should never gear up.
Yeah. I don't know if you saw the clip of someone just fucking like, I need to just make healing more exciting. And it's just like everyone standing in like the tank AoE. And they're just like, it's in the latest extreme, it was very funny. It's like, yeah, that's kind of the state of healing.
Yeah.
I don't think it's one this team can solve. I just think they just don't understand what they want healers to do in this game.
Well, yeah, that's a true. Healers specifically, they're struggling to figure out where we are in this.
I actually think they know what they want. I just think they're struggling to make it play out.
Yeah, but yeah. Well, just look at how much healing has changed over the years. I mean, it's been a lot of misses. A lot.
Oh yeah, what I'm saying is they have a goal that they're not reaching. I'm not saying that they're...
The only thing they can do here is, well, there's two options. raid-wide like Savage mechanics are percentage-based rather than flat damage, or every mechanic is just Hellwind. So you're just constantly having to heal everyone back to max because there's nothing like there's no way they can balance it outside of that.
No.
Percentage-based damage would work quite well though.
Yeah, that's true.
I think they should make gimmicks, but make them just for healers, so they have something fun to do. I don't know. Make them play tic-tac-toe.
Yeah.
I agree. Have an NPC that needs healing during a phase or something, or
they need to make a better way of us allowing us to heal NPCs.
That is
the
way.
Case.
Yeah. It is better to target them.
Yeah.
But something like that. That was a thing in Dragon's Song Ultimate, where you have to heal.
Yes, and also Shinryu Extreme.
Yes.
Oh yeah. But Horsefont was better.
Of course.
Well, yeah.
Ultimate is pretty much the only place where they seem to really nail how good this game can be.
Yeah, but that's like catering to the 1% of the 1%.
Yeah.
Which
1% get the best content.
Yeah.
I'm so surprised. I feel nothing for Ultimates personally. Like, I think it's cool to see, I guess, like the mechanics that they do, which are kind of interesting. But like, I don't care to watch it. It's personally, I don't particularly find that kind of content like exciting just to watch.
Okay.
But it's such like a small audience. I feel like that does it. At least maybe in the West. I'm sure it's higher in JP communities.
No, I think it's smaller.
It's a much larger percentage in Japan.
Yeah.
It'd be larger, but it'd still be a small percent.
But I think there is the missing link in 14. The link being between doing your daily roulettes and doing Savage or an Extreme, which is, I guess, closer to roulettes, but still. I feel like if you're good at this game, or if you have a lot of game knowledge, or you just know how to play your job well, but for whatever reason you can't commit to raids, or it's hard to find a group of 8-man people for whatever, you don't have as much to do.
Exactly.
Especially in this expansion.
That's an issue of this expansion.
Yeah. There is
that goes into the next point we were going to talk about.
Yes.
Yeah. That's what I feel the missing link is that which makes it weird when they're having like higher tier stuff for like a smaller percent of people, but still have that really wide gap in like the middle.
Mm-hmm.
I think the issue there is that they have always committed to catering to this high level of the highest level players ever since A Realm Reborn. There has always been Savage, or the equivalent of Savage, and then they attempted to make a middle ground with normal raids, which we did not have in A Realm Reborn.
Right.
Sadly, a lot of people find them too easy and comparable to, and not at a mid-core level, or what they would consider to be mid-core.
They just kind of feel like a dungeon boss.
Normal raids equals normal trials equals alliance raid equals a dungeon boss. It's all on the same level of requirements.
Yeah, essentially. Also,
Criterion dungeons equals good attempt at mid-core, low number of players content with shit rewards.
I think part of the problem as well is that if you look at what we have for casual content, the dungeon specifically, we're even losing stuff there now when they've gone back. They've gone back and essentially, I would say in some cases, destroyed fights to make them work with trusts.
Trusts have destroyed dungeons, in my opinion, and you can love trusts, and I will allow you to love trusts, and I won't, it's fine. It's very cool fighting the boss with Urianger, but trusts have destroyed like how much they can do with a dungeon.
I'm glad
to the point where they're having to change old dungeons.
Yeah.
But I'm happier I experienced those dungeons the way I did.
Me too.
Same.
I agree. But no one likes maintenance, and that's what I think this expansion is, which as a result has sadly meant that it's had less content overall.
Yeah.
Is that because they are going back to fix up things in the past that either they haven't been able to address, or that they want to address now so they don't have to address them even later.
Yeah.
We are getting the graphics update for the next expansion. We do have trust so that the entire dungeon the entire MSQ dungeons are now soloable for whenever this MMO sadly starts to actually die.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that probably needs to be done. We are fortunate that we got to go through it and experience it, and we've done all those dungeons loads of times.
Yes,
and it is sad to see them change.
It's a tragedy that's happened. It unfortunately sets a precedent for the future of dungeons, because they will just keep that template. Probably they love templates. Now, yeah. We've already established this.
Again, it could be a case of like they are discovering what they can do with trusts, and like it's easier to change it into what they already know they can do rather than like completely rework them. So now that they know what the limitations of trusts are, they can potentially experiment with that in future dungeons. That doesn't save those that they've had to change previously, but maybe I don't think it necessarily is a negative indicator of what is coming in the future.
We're trying to explain the feelings people are having is that everything feels like the same. It's everything is
pretty confident the future dungeon is going to be 3 bosses with a trash pull before them all forever now.
We also did not mention, we touched on it, there's no long-term content currently in the game. We talked about it, Eureka and Bosnia, there's nothing like that currently, which means we've lost that part, which has kept, maybe you hated Eureka, maybe you hated Bosnia, but it was there. You could do stuff in there. The relic is just tombstones. There was nothing to do there either. If you're doing your roulettes, because what else are you going to do? You have the tomes, so it's just done. That's a problem with Endwalker, which I think has made it more. You made it feel it more this time than you did in the previous expansions.
Chad is bringing up that like those resources might have gone elsewhere this expansion. Like they might the resources that went into exploratory forays might have been what ended up being the Criterion and variant dungeons as well as Island Sanctuary. The issue is like if these types of content either don't appeal to you or like then you won't do them, or like you have done them quickly and now you just don't have anything to do with them anymore.
Right.
That is fine. Yeah.
Yeah. We have to wrap up.
So, do we?
Yeah, we do. We're 15 minutes past into the post show now. But yeah, go and finish your thought, Mela.
I was just going to say, Island Sanctuary is a breath of fresh air in some aspects. The latest update, as Chat does point out, is an incredibly lazy way of putting longevity into content in the capped weekly 29-week amount that you can get. That ain't it. That's not it.
What I find
something to do casually in the background, and you'll eventually get a reward. But that's not a way of keeping people interested.
That's true, and I will say it's a little sad because it's not. You're doing it all alone.
That's true.
It's like there's just something about playing an MMORPG and then being confined to a place where you're all alone doing content just for you. Like there's
very siloed in this game.
Yeah, it's like a little. It's a little sad. But if we're gonna be positive, I think let's just wrap up here. The Island Sanctuary is good. Any thoughts on that before we wrap, Georgi? Island Sanctuary.
Oh, I was just going to say that they have experimented this expansion. It's just that like it just might not have landed. Like Eureka for some people did not land. I found as a result, I actually feel like I had less to do in Stormblood than I have personally had to do in Shadowbringers. Endwalker. Endwalker has worked out better for me because I prefer personally Island Sanctuary to Eureka. But for many people, Island Sanctuary has not hit in the same way that like Criterion and variant dungeons haven't hit. So
that's the trouble, isn't it?
Well, yeah, that's part of the problem. I think for a lot of people, there's a lot of misses in Endwalker.
Yes.
And that's the problem.
Yeah.
Anything to add, Rollo?
Yeah. I think I can just end it by saying that 14's not dying.
No.
If you say that, or just rents do. I get it.
Yes.
but
and you bet the title of this episode is going to be real nice.
Rent due.
Yeah.
Name the title of that. Rent is due.
Rent is due.
Sucks.
14 sucks.
I got to pay bills. But I think that at least personally, like I agree with the sentiments that people have that like they have less to do. There's less interesting stuff going on, and there are ongoing problems, which I agree with. I have my issues as well. I think personally, Endwalker, I've had a lot less to do. This is kind of like I feel like the least active I've been in the game. I get on like once or twice a week for a couple hours, but I'm still enjoying it. Obviously, I've just kind of done everything I want to do.
Yeah.
But I think they see some of the issues. It seems like they're gonna take their sweet time addressing it. Of course, their usual Square Enix way. So maybe you'll see some changes later on. I think my last point, I meant to say earlier actually, is that I feel like the best way to play this game, and I don't mean this as a slight against this game, is someone who comes back maybe twice a year when the patches come out, and they play 3 months at a time. I think it's the best way to experience the game currently, because I feel like being an up-to-date player is just
it's a bit of a chore.
But that's another thing. This is the expansion that I have spent the most playing PvP, more than any other expansion.
That's true.
And that is partially a result of the PvP system overhauls.
Yes, Crystalline Conflict. Crystalline Conflict, I think we can all agree at least that that was
fantastic.
A hit.
Great fun.
They managed to make PvP fun.
I wouldn't say I still wouldn't say I love PvP, Rollo, but I certainly enjoy it more than I have in any previous expansion.
I enjoy Crystalline Conflict.
I really like it now.
That's fun. Yeah.
I don't like Frontlines.
No.
But I like
PvP is good when I win. It's bad when I lose.
No.
Exactly,
Rollo. No, I like Seas and I like Onsel Hakar. I don't like Current Shadow.
Right.
Oh no, Shatter's
Shatter. God. Also, just quickly again, Georgi mentioned it, but remember that this hasn't been an expansion where they've done a lot of under the hood updates, which has taken a lot of resources away. There's a graphical update coming. The Trust, obviously, that's done now. That's freed up. All of that has been freed up.
Yeah.
So
I would say if we get the same level of content next expansion, that might definitely be a sign to worry.
We might have to sit down again.
But,
exactly.
If you're able to accept that, like they have done a lot of things, it's just they're kind of things that either you don't notice on the daily, or they're things that don't really affect us as current players. Sadly.
Yeah. I think Dawn Trail is uncharted waters, and I think it's okay to be scared because you can love or hate Endwalker. I think saying it isn't a bad expansion in any way.
No.
Looking back on some of the older expansions, they had massive problems, but the reason you loved them was twofold. The game was newer, and you were very invested in this 10-year arc. That arc has ended now.
Yes.
Like it or love it, or hate it, or whatever.
Like it or love it, dude.
Like it or love it. You've got those two options.
No other options.
No other options.
Yeah.
But this has ended, and it might have stung. It might have hit, but it's you're free. You've been let free, and you've got to now think where we're going.
They
and
are
if this will
offering
hit
you.
or miss.
They're offering you a chance to experience the game anew with Dawn Trail. It feels like we're just starting over. Here's a new thing. We're going somewhere else. We're going on holiday. God damn it.
You're going on holiday. Something cool could happen. We could get another 10-year epic story. It could be a miss.
Yeah.
You might not like it, and that's okay.
Yeah.
It's uncharted, scary waters, but it'll be fine, I'm sure.
Yes.
Man, if you thought things were dire now, you should have been there for the Heavensward patches.
Oh boy.
Like, honestly, I think that was the game's low point with some of those Heavensward patches. Fucking,
we don't have.
We can't
nothing to do.
I would sit down and talk about Heavensward, but just know times have been rough in this game's life before.
This isn't a new
3.1 was a fucking nightmare, and I don't think we've ever had anything as bad as that actually yet. So
probably not.
No.
And enjoy what you have now, because it's not as bad as you think. You
guys don't know Drought.
For a lot of people, rent is due, and that's why we're seeing so much negativity. So don't worry. Is Final Fantasy XIV dying? No. Is it in trouble? No. That's it. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll be back next week. Same time, same place. Remember to follow on Twitter at SpeakersXIV, twitch.tv/YouTube, youtube.com/SpeakersXIV, exclamation Discord and chat. If you're watching live, join our Discord server. If you're watching on demand, links in the description. Stay tuned for the post show. If you're watching live, we'll be answering questions from the Syndicate and probably not read My Immortal again. See you there. Bye.
Bye.